Everyone, in this episode I will show you how to authenticate your users and to distinguish between admin and regular user and just basically regular registration and login and what they can do. But first of all, I want to start out this issue with pages that RayT has pointed out. And when we have less pages than our intended range, it starts to break. So I'm going to imitate that by changing the page size to 5, recompiling here. And right now you can see that I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it goes back to 3. So even if I go to the 4th page, I have nothing there. So 4 and 5 really don't exist. But also if I go to the 3rd page, we get these random, what's it called? Not random, but like 1 and dot. Really, we should be staying in range, right? So the main issue here is this logic here only accounts for the range of 5. So the easiest fix is to basically say, right, if the page count is less than or equals 5, we just want to do the simplest thing possible and just give out just give out as many pages as we have. So let's go ahead, copy this for loop, put it in the top part here. Midpoint, we will replace it with 1, and this upper bound, we will replace it with page count, and that should do us nicely. Let's take this closing bracket, put it at the bottom here. So if we're in a case where our page count is less than 5, it will all turn out alright. Otherwise, let's do this thing. And another thing I've noticed is we are redoing this calculation. So again, my bad. So I'm going to replace this midpoint plus 5 with the upper bound. Okay, so let's go ahead and refresh the website and see if this works now. Okay, cool. So now the pages work as expected. And if I will go back to having a range of 2. So hopefully, yeah, this should create more pages. So yeah, so here we can see the triple dot and the jump to the last page is back, and everything else seems to be working as expected. Another thing I would like to point out is we have double enumeration. So what I mean by that is this method is enumerated twice because we're calling it in 2 places, and that's when we go through our for loops. This is something I just noticed by debugging. And if I go into home index, and I will actually need to drop into my partial view. So when we enumerate it here, model.pages, it calls it twice. So let me show you how this looks, right? I will put a breakpoint here. I will turn my debugger on. Okay, and now we hit the breakpoint for 1 time, and I'm just gonna step through it. So I'm gonna allow it to run. I'm gonna press continue now, and you can see we hit it again. And this is because we have 2 places in where we are trying to iterate through this, all right? So what you can think of this enumerable is it's some sort of a lazy execution. So hopefully to give you a better understanding, I'm going to debug through it again, and you will see that when we return this, we are not going to execute this function. It's going to execute this function after we already went to the view. Okay, so I'm going to refresh, press F10, so we're out, go into the view. Okay, and let's actually, okay, and that's when I stepped into the partial. This is now going through the page numbers, and again, by the time it reaches the second partial here to render it, that's when it's going to access that enumeration a second time. So hopefully I haven't rambled on for too long. There's a good way to fix this, and that's calling toList on the end. So doing something like this. So this will cause the enumeration and convert it automatically to enumerable, and this code will run only 1 time. Another cool thing we can do is we can actually put this into its own static function. So let's go ahead, create a folder called helpers, and we'll create a page helper.cs. Okay, let's go ahead and make it static. And what static means is it's pretty much like that function is there to be run. It's not. It's like it's just a function on its own, and page helper is kind of like just the object that holds that function. It doesn't depend on any state other than the function itself, and perhaps maybe some static state of this class as well. But hopefully the next bit that I do will make a bit more sense. So let's go ahead, cut this function. Let's put it in here. I will change it to being public, and I will have to make this function static as well. So now I can grab this page helper. I can bring up the class here, and we can access the function without having to instantiate the page helper. So usually when we create a class, we have to specify a new index view model, but here we're basically just saying, right, go to this namespace, to this object, and this will have a function. So we don't need any instantiation of this object. This kind of makes this class a singleton. So this is only ever created once. Okay, so well, that's over. Let's go ahead and run this. So to make sure that this still works, I will put a breakpoint here to make sure to double check that this runs once. Okay, we hit the breakpoint. I'm going to press F5, and it's only run once. It hasn't what's it called? It hasn't hit the breakpoint again. The enumeration is done only once. So let's go ahead, stop this application now. I'm going to close everything and give this a new start before we start adding our authentication bits. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this link to the admin panel, because if we're going to add regular users and we are going to have the sign in button, really don't want them to be trying to sign in as admin. Okay, so let's go to the shared folder layout, and let's go ahead and remove the admin button. Let me close this so you can see it. There's the admin panel. I'm going to go ahead and remove it. Okay, so closing this, next thing I want to do is I want to make my login page. Let's make it a little bit more stylish. So let's go ahead into site.css. Let's go straight to the bottom, and let's say sign in form, and we will give this a display of flex. Let's actually what's it called? Put the class name here so we can see it transform. All right. So display of flex, these are going to go down, so the flex direction is going to have to be column. So flex direction column, like that. Let's give this a refresh. Okay, let's give this an actual refresh. There we go. Okay, so next thing I'm going to say is max width, let's say, or wait, actually no, that the button made me think that way. I'm going to put it in a div, and I'm going to make sure it shrinks, or yeah. Okay, now let's go ahead and give this a justify content center, and this is probably going to need to go as align content center because we're on the column axis, and that didn't help, and that's because the divs are actually full width. So let's go ahead and make them smaller. I'm gonna add a sign in form div. I'm gonna give them max width of, let's say, 200 pixels. Let's see what that does. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. Let me take a look at the form again. Okay, and forgot it's not align items, but not align content, but rather align items. Okay, so here is our divs. Let's go ahead. Let me make this a little bit bigger for now. I just want to see what this input button is doing. Okay. Alright, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say width is 100% here as well, so it occupies the whole thing. There we go, and we can say margin bottom, let's say 1 rem to give it a little bit of space. Cool. Let's say margin top 2 rem, so it's a little bit further away from the what's it called, the navigation bar. All right. The rest of it I won't style it. If you guys want to make the inputs and the buttons, style them yourself, There's quite a bit of tutorials for that out there. So the login form looks nice. So the first thing we want to handle is actually the registration. So let's go ahead and create a register form. So register.cshtml. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this form here. Actually, I'll just copy all of it. And instead of the login view model, I will ask for a register view model. I will go ahead, take this password, and I will change it to a confirm password. And I will say confirm password here, and we'll create this form in a second. So the next thing I want to do is I want to point it to an action that doesn't exist yet, right? Because I'm going to be registering, I will need a form, I will need some information that I will need to post to the backend, right? And this action will be named register, like that. And let me actually go full screen here. Okay, and instead of sign in, I will say sign up. I don't know why it's login, register, sign in, sign up. I don't know. Somebody made this decision. Now let's go for email, because in the next episode I want to show you how to use smart SMTP, the SMTP server for emailing. So let's change the label to email as well. Let's go ahead into view models now, and let's create a register view model.cs, and let's give it these properties. So we're going to give it a string of email, string of password, and string of confirm password. Okay, let's see if I can copy anything from login view model. I got the data type. That's alright. Data type password. I will need to import a couple of things here. I will give email the data type of email as well, email address, and I will need to enforce a compare to password. Okay, so this will compare the confirm password to password and make sure that they're the same. And I will just go ahead and mark them all as required, because if any of them aren't present, I don't want anybody registering. Okay, so there is our register view model. I will actually clean up these guys' username. We'll keep it as this. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and close everything. So we have our register view model, and we have our register page. Now let's go ahead and display the page, and we will then see what we can post and if the post is working correctly. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and actually copy the login page functions here, and I'll just rename them to register, register view model. And I will rename this to register as well, and I will pass the register view model here, and we can just return return view here for now. We'll just put a breakpoint here because I just want to take a look at what we receive. Another thing here, I will just put it to do redirect only admin to panel. Okay, so we'll do a little check. Okay, so that looks good to me. I will minimize this down. Let me put this into debugger. And while this is loading up, I'm going to go to my layout. We'll go to my layout, and I will give it a link to register. And this might actually be a good idea to put it on the sign-in page. So we have the sign-in button. Let's go ahead and go into login. And I will give this a link. We'll say register, href, we can delete this, and my fingers, register, there we go. So ASP controller is still going to be auth, and ASP action will be register. Okay, let's give this a refresh. Okay, so the register button is there. Let's go ahead and navigate to the register page. So there it is. If I press this now, let's take a look at what we get. This is probably all going to be null, and that's fine. Let's return. what I'd actually want to happen is for it to validate this, right? So let's go ahead and say, or actually, let's fill something out for now. So bob test, some password, and some password. Okay, sign up, and let's make sure that we got the stuff that we wanted. And there we go, right? So it's filling up the form. I'm happy. And let's go ahead back to the backend and code this bit up. Okay, so we're at a point where we're sending stuff to the register page. It's just, first of all, it's not getting validated. And we can navigate to the register page. Okay, so first of all, I want to be able to display the validation messages. So let's put a paragraph and see if we can. I cannot do that. Let's put a span, and we'll do ASP validation for email, and we'll do the same for password and confirm password. Okay, so password and confirm password. So the main things we're looking for is for the email to be for it to be basically say all of these three are required. Email is meant to be email. Password and confirm password are meant to match. Okay, so all we're gonna do is basically say if model state is valid. So this is just how it checks if this model, basically the validity of your model is present in this object, which is available to the whole context for the controller class that we're inheriting from. So let's return view if it's not valid, and we can go ahead and pass the VM to the view model. Okay, so I think we can go ahead and run this again. Alright, so let's sign in, go to register, and let's just sign up first. Alright, and it wasn't valid, and it just jumped to there, so that was completely my mistake. I want to say if not valid, we want to return this. So let me run this again. Sign in. Oh, nope. Register, sign up. Okay, so now it's basically giving us our validation errors. So it's recognizing that all of them are required. So let me put an email. And let me make sure these do not match. Let's sign up. Okay, so you can see that it is checking if they do match or not. So let me go ahead and use the iconic password for password and sign up. Okay, cool. So validation state is valid. That's why we're reaching this part. So that's good. So validation is in place. Now what we can do is we can essentially register the user, and we have the sign-in manager. What we'll need is a user manager, and an example of how we create users is already present here in the program. So here where we use the user manager to create a user async, we first create an identity user, and then we create the user, and we give them the admin role. So all we're going to do is we're basically going to create a user the way we do here, but we're just not going to assign them to a role. Okay, so we're going to go to the auth controller. So once this is valid, I'm going to go ahead and create a username. We will set it to the email, and the email, we will set it to the email as well. Alright, so we are missing the user manager, so let's go into program. I will grab this user manager type, and I will go into the controller here. I will drop down my sign-in manager, and I will create a new line for the user manager, and I will create the user manager. And now let's create a global field and create it here. Okay, so I'll grab this user manager and replace this user mgr with this user manager here. Okay, so since this is an asynchronous function, let's go ahead and await on it. And here we will have a result. And actually, this getAwaiter get result, let's get rid of this part. Okay, so we have the identity result, and here we can basically say if result is succeeded, we will do this part. Otherwise, we will return the view with the model to let them sign in again, and we can attach. I'm not gonna actually show you how to attach a custom error because I think that will make this tutorial blur, but I'll see how I feel by the end. So if it's succeeded, let's go ahead and sign the user in. Okay, so we can basically take this sign-in manager put him here. And let's remove this, and instead of using password sign in async, let's type in sign in, and here we can just provide a identity user class. All right, so let's go ahead, remove all of this stuff, and we can just type in admin user for now, and this is actually, we can just rename this to user. Okay, let's see what else we need. We need a persistent login. I'm just going to specify false. If you want this persistent, make sure you add a button that will check something like remember me or something like that. Otherwise, I will just keep it at this. Okay, so if we are successful, let's go ahead and redirect the user back to the index page. So let's return a redirect to action. Let's say index and home, and make sure that this will use the correct action. Yeah, so it navigated me to action controller name as the function that is being used. So I'm confident with that. Let's go ahead, launch this and see if it works. I will put a breakpoint here. Okay, so I'm gonna press the logout button here, and I'm gonna sign in, and I'm gonna actually register again. I will register as test.com, password, and password, sign up. So model state is valid. Our username and email is going to be that. So here we're creating the user. Let's check the result. No errors. If there are errors, we can attach them to our model state and display these errors on screen. But we don't have any, so it's succeeded. And generally, you won't have any errors as long as it won't pop up with like user with this name already exists. But then you can display that error. So here we sign in, all good, and we redirect back to the index page. Never save this, and here you can see that we are a user. Let's go ahead into our layout page, and I'm actually regretting deleting the link to the admin panel. Let's go ahead and bring it back. So admin panel, and this is the kind of stuff that we can do with that. With this sign in, let's go ahead, check out panel controller. Okay, so panel index. Okay, so action controller is panel. So we can basically say if user is authenticated, and if user is in role admin, then let's go ahead and display the admin panel here. So let me give this a refresh. We don't get it. I will open up an incognito window. Let's go here, and I'm going to sign in as admin. And here you can see that I have the admin panel, and I'm redirected to the admin panel. But after registration, it has redirected me to the index page. So let's see what happens if I try to just sign in test.com and password is password. You can see I'm gonna run into this nasty little error. So let's go ahead and handle that redirect. So in our auth controller, here where I put the comment, let's say if result is succeeded, let's do this thing. Will this really matter? Yeah. Go on. Let's put this here. Let's delete this comment. Return view and VM. Okay. So if it's succeeded, we want to do whatever. If it hasn't succeeded, return the VM. And I think actually a single statement in the if statement will be better, like this. Okay. We want to redirect to the panel if the signed in user is an admin. All right. So now let's check if we have the user context available to us when we sign in. And what I mean by that is you will see in a second. So let's say is admin, and let's say HTTP context user, and we really have access to the user this way, but this is really the root of its origination. And let's just take a look at what we have in our context here. Otherwise, we will need to use the sign-in manager to retrieve the user, okay? But if we have all the available claims here, then we're good. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. And I'm gonna run with the admin first. So let's log the admin out. Let's sign in again. Let's sign in as admin. Because if we're admin and we can see the claims here, then we know that he is going to hit this. So claims, results. So we don't have any claims. Identities, maybe we have something in the identity claims. Nope. Okay, so we essentially, or maybe an identity. Nope, and no claims here. So never mind that. Let's stop it and let's go ahead and check if at least the function works. So we'll say user. Let's put this to lowercase. User dot is in role, and we'll say admin. And we know this is the admin login in, so we really don't have access to the context if this doesn't work. See, let's log this out. Sign in as admin. Okay. And it's false. Okay. So we don't have access to the context, to the user in context, and this is really the proof of it. So when we sign in, this HTTP context the user, the way we check the roles here doesn't exist, and this is really just something for us to know now. There are other ways to find out. So first of all, the sign-in manager takes care of signing in the user manager takes care of managing the user. So let's go ahead, grab the user manager and see if we can find something if the user is in role, right? So let's say add to role in get user in role async is in role async. There we go. And we will need to pass in an identity user and a role name. Okay, so is in role async. Let's await on this and let's grab the user. So we will say user manager find by name. So the only thing we actually do have is the username or the email. But the username will be email in the case of the regular user, so we can just use the find by name. We can go ahead and pass in the username here, close this off, pass the user here, and the role will be admin. And what are we? Oh, okay, so I forgot the await here. All right, so we find the username by name, we get a identity user, we pass it into is in role async function, which takes the user and the role that we want to find out. So if it's an admin, let's go ahead and say is admin equals here. So if is admin, we want to go ahead and redirect to the admin panel. Otherwise, we want to, and let me copy this here actually, we want to redirect to the index of the home page, like that. Okay. Let's go ahead and run this again. Should I have the debugger? Yeah, let's go ahead and put the breakpoint here. Let me open up these two. Okay. So as an admin now, let's sign in. And does it recognize me as an admin? Yes, and that means I'm going to the admin page. And as a user, let's log out and let's sign in as test@test.com. Sign in. Does it recognize me as an admin? Nope. Does it bring out the right user? Yes, test@test.com. And it will put me to the home page. Alright, so now you have these two flows that you take care of in the action. And if you're worried about somebody registering as an admin user, that really can't happen because we're not creating any admin roles, or we're not assigning any roles when users register. So as long as you have your authorized attributes on the panel, so let's say I am a regular user and I want to go to not auth but rather panel, it will just give me a 404. Okay, So what else can we allow what can we allow users to do? So if I log out and I go on a post, you can see this button, this comment section below here. We can. I never really got to styling it. It's something that you personally should be taking care of, really. Let's go ahead on the post, and here where we have the comment section, let's say if user the identity is authenticated. So if we're authenticated, allowed to comment. And I have missed off, yep, one div. Cool. So I'm going to wrap the comment section in this if statement. And what I'm essentially trying to do, right, if you're a user here, you can comment. If you're not a user, you can't comment, right? And you should sign in to this awesome blog, you know. So let's give it a div. Oh, div, and then here we'll put a link, and we'll say something like to sign in to comment on this awesome post. So yeah, that'll do good. Action, we want login, and controller, we want auth. I format this. Okay, so now we should get a little text here. We can also go ahead and did I create a nope. Never mind. I'll just leave it at this. And now basically, if somebody wants to comment, they will have to sign in. So have to go to the sign in page. They will either have to register or not. Then they will sign in. Let me remove this breakpoint. Okay, and they're here, and now they can comment, and now they can say like, awesome, boom. Okay, I'm not gonna go through the trouble of explaining how to put names here, etc. This is something that you can take care of. Again, it's just the same as adding more stuff to your comment view model. You don't even need to add the name here. You can, but once it's on the back end and once you are creating the comment, this is where you can extract the name of the user that's posting the comment, and you can add it directly here. So you don't need to take the name of the user through the front end since you already have access to it on the back end. Okay, so yeah, this will be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you have any more suggestions for the videos, or you would like to know something else how to do for this blog, also leave a comment. But for now, see you in my next episode.